Hi everybody, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Kelita. And in this series, we're going to be talking about our bariatric journey from the perspective of someone who has had bariatric surgery.
And for somebody who's about to have it done. Welcome to our channel.
If you want to follow the series, please subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Vertical sleeve gastrectomy. That's the surgery I had. That's the surgery that saved my life. My very first doctor's appointment at Dr. Miles and Dr. Schmidt's at Alabama Weight Loss Surgery Clinic. I was 358.9 pounds. My blood pressure was 176/136, and my BMI was 65. I was dying. And I had known for a long time that I was dying, and I was terrified to admit it. I had been experiencing headaches, dizziness. My feet would swell to the point where they felt like they were just going to pop from the pressure. I was miserable. My whole body hurt. I would stand up and I would feel my blood pressure rise. I would lay down and I would feel my blood pressure rise. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't live. I was absolutely miserable and I was dying a slow death. I've had a long history of depression. As a teen, I was even suicidal. I never felt like I fit in. I never felt happy. I never knew how to deal with myself. I would try diet after diet. I remember starting my first diet the summer following my first grade year of elementary school. And that's when the cycle began. Every summer, every year. Constantly playing outside with the other kids, constantly being encouraged to be active, and still being bigger than all the other kids my age. Always having to order my clothes special because I couldn't go into a store, because in the mid to late 90s, plus size really wasn't that common, especially for youth in stores. So I always had to dress, let's just say my clothes were never on trend. I always had to buy clothes out of the women's sections. So I always looked like someone's mom walking around because those were the only clothes that would fit me, and I never felt like I fit in. And over time, I realized I couldn't control my weight. It controlled me. I'd had my thyroid checked many times due to in childhood, I wouldn't call it illness, but a development in my childhood that I had to have surgery for, and so it led to me having my thyroid checked many times. You know, maybe the thyroid's the problem. My levels were maybe always on the low side, but considered within normal range. So I was always told, diet. You need to diet and exercise. So I diet and exercise. Atkins, Weight Watchers, Slim Fast, you name it. Me and my mom did it. Because she struggled with her weight as well, and depression. And nothing ever seemed to work, and I would always be so jealous of my sisters because they were always fit and healthy and perfect, and they never seemed to struggle with their weight, but yet I ballooned out of control. Don't get me wrong, I would have success from time to time with these diets, but I never could maintain it. And whenever I started regaining after one of these diets, I always gained more past the point of what I had started. So it was always maybe lose 30 pounds, gain 45 back. This continued for years. In 2009, my mother decided to have bariatric surgery. Now, at the time she decided to have surgery, the only options that insurance would pay for at the time in our state was the gastric bypass or the realized band, stomach banding, neither of which I was interested in doing. I felt gastric bypass was a little too severe for me, and I didn't trust a foreign object being inserted into my body and left there clamped around my stomach. They weren't for me. But I went with Mother, had my first appointment, started the process, and at that time you had to be on a doctor supervised diet for a year, and I wound up just flaking. In hindsight, that was a good thing because I don't think I was ready for it at the time. I don't think I was mentally prepared for it. I can't say that there's not a part of me that doesn't regret going ahead with surgery at that time. I'll always wonder how differently my life might have turned out, but at the same time I can say that I wouldn't have been ready had I chose to do that. For a while, I was able to maintain at about 225 to 250 over a course of several years, which for me was actually very reasonable. And then it started creeping back up again to 260, 270, because the depression crept back in, and I self-medicate with food. Some people choose other ways of dealing with depression. Mine's food. The easiest way to put it is I'm a food addict. I have no control. And when left to my own devices, I will eat myself miserable when I'm miserable, because food doesn't judge me, and it gives me comfort, and it makes me think of positive, happy moments in my life, because every positive, happy moment in my life has been celebrated with food. And so that's where I draw comfort. Eventually, in 2013, I met my now husband, Kevin. During that time, him and I both were going through a huge transition in our lives. And we were both going through a lot of stress and pressure. And from 2013 to 2016, I think I gained 100 pounds. With not being able to properly deal with the stress I was going through. Even through the anxiety, the depression, and the massive weight gain that eventually put me up to the 360 pounds I weighed when I went to see my weight loss surgeon for the first time. Kevin still loved me. He loved me for who I was, regardless of how heavy I got. And he was one of the few people in this world who I felt like really and truly loved me. And that meant the world to me. It was hard for me to understand why someone who was so wonderful could love someone so grotesque. I'll never forget when he proposed. It was the most beautiful, fantastic, wonderful moment of my life. It wasn't romantic, it was just us, and it was perfect. But then the heavy weight of knowing that I would have to go wedding dress shopping or stand in front of a crowd of people looking so grotesque, I couldn't handle it. I chose for us to elope in New Orleans with a very, very small group of people so that I wouldn't have to put myself on display in front of a bunch of people. I didn't even want to go wedding dress shopping. I didn't want to have to deal with the shame of standing in a crowded dress shop, not being able to try on one single dress because there wouldn't be one big enough to fit me. My weight caused me to have a lot of anxiety attacks. It ruled every aspect of my life. When you have high blood pressure because of your weight, and then you pile anxiety attacks on top of it, it was an awful roller coaster, physically and mentally. I just felt out of control of my life and my body. But even with all of that going on, I kept telling myself, I don't have time to have this surgery. I don't have time to go to the doctor and even begin the process. It's just too much right now. And I kept putting it off. It was another year after we got married before I finally decided to stop living that way and make the time for me and my health and my life. Finally, I made my first appointment with Dr. Miles. As of today, I'm 16 months post-op from VSG. I've lost 166 pounds. My BMI has gone from morbidly obese to severely obese, which may not sound like a whole lot to some, but for me it's a victory. I'm not through yet. I still have a ways to go. I still have weight to lose. And I still have extra skin hanging from my body that I'm not happy with. But I am glad that I did this for myself. I am glad that my resting heart rate is finally in the 70s. That my blood pressure is perfect every time I go to the doctor. That my feet aren't swollen to the point of just pain and misery. I'm proud of how far I've come on this journey, and I will say that the feeling that it was the easy way out, that it was cheating, the shame I felt for wanting to have the surgery because it was cheating, that eventually it actually went away really quickly. So I'll tell you, there's nothing cheating about this. I still have to eat right. I still have to do right. This is only a tool. Dr. Miles makes that very clear to you when you first meet him. He can't fix the anxiety. He can't fix the depression. And he can't fix the food addiction. All he can do is give you this tool to help you try to fix these things. I've come down a lot in weight. My mental health has improved. I am dealing with the body dysmorphia of having massive amounts of weight loss in a short amount of time. There are some things that will never be easy for me. I have to be really careful about addiction displacement because of my surgery, but I'm still incredibly thankful that I had it, and it was worth every bit of the struggle to get it and get where I am today. So what I hope is that if anyone is watching this video and thinking about having weight loss surgery, I want you to take away from this that no, it's not the easy way out. Yes, there's still a lot of work involved, and it's not gonna fix all your problems. They're not just gonna magically go away and your self-esteem just shoot through the roof. But it's a step. It's a step in the right direction. It's a step closer to being healthier and getting out into this world and living again.